our pride. ZG and E will take you on this ride, week by week, side by side. It's Section 1, 2, 3, we're the rowdiest in town. The Pirates Game and Uncle Dave and Big Fudge all around. We sing our songs, we chant as one. Through thick and thin, the match day's just begun. In the North End, we stand together. Through every game, through any weather. From the first whistle to the final blow, the North End will never let go. Under the lights of Q2, our home, our sacred ground. In green and black, we fight, our voices loud and proud. Trio sees magic, Bacardi speed, Stuva saving grace. With every goal we score, the lights turn verde, it's our place. Rodo's the mastermind, building our dream. Dan rules everything around me, as he strengthens our team. Let Rodo cook, he's got the perfect recipe. Austin FC, our heart and soul forever will. In the North End, we stand together. Through every game, through any weather. From the first whistle to the final blow, the North End will never let go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 164. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E, a.k.a. LaE James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew Easy, a.k.a. Eastradamus, a.k.a. Pap E. O'Daniel, a.k.a. the Fashionista, a.k.a. Chili Willie, a.k.a. Joe E. Chestnut, a.k.a. Ian Stonkel. E, watching you dance for the last 30 seconds of that intro, let's go ahead and get into it. How are you feeling, my friend?
Well, the vibes are immaculate. I'm a fan of apparently the best soccer team in the world, so that's going well. You know, I got that going for me right now. Man, I don't even know. It's hard to tell what's going on right now with these last two wins and everything just looking so great. And man, I am thrilled, as I know every Austin FC fan across the universe is right now, and just looking forward to get into this game, recapping it and reliving a fantastic Tuesday night at the Q with the homies.
Should we just join Liga MX?
Yeah, maybe.
We'd just be a giant.
Yeah, we might be the best team in Liga MX.
What we should do is next year play some of these games down there in Mexico. I think that's the next step. Now that we've taken care of business up here at home, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah,
we'll just stick here and enjoy this one. Welcome in, everybody. Very excited to recap last night's victory, shutout victory over Rayados at Q2 Stadium. Austin FC wins West Group 1 of the 2024 Leagues Cup. And before we get into all of that, we also need to preview, right? Cobra Tejas matchup, North Texas SC coming to the pitch on Friday. We'll preview that matchup. Check in on the best keeper in the world. And we have a little bit of a news item / rumor to start off here with. But of course, I want to remind everybody listening that the best way to support the show is to download the audio version of this episode. And again, wherever you get your podcasts, if they have an automatic download feature, go ahead and click that on for the North End Podcast. Then you can support the show. You don't even have to think about it, right? And if you want to go that extra mile, you can rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. And if you are watching on that YouTube channel, still go download the audio version wherever you get your podcast, but subscribe to the YouTube channel. That also helps us grow the show. And you can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this episode, hit the thumbs up, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, atone for your sins, wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. Before we relive last night at the Q, just wanted to discuss momentarily this report that came out from Florian Plettenberg. And Plettenberg works for Sky Sports. He's got almost 350,000 followers, if I recall correctly. So this is, a legitimate football reporter overseas. And he said that 24-year-old Slovakian national striker Robert Boznik, I may be butchering that as I tend to do, rejected an offer from Austin FC. He currently plays for Boa Vista in the Portuguese league and is expected to join Hellas Verona in Serie A, worth about $5 million there on transfer market. And so again, not getting this striker, but to me, this is just as we expected. It appears that Rodolfo Borrell still in the grocery store.
Yes, definitely still shopping. And we with these last two rumors that we've had come in here, it's obviously for a 9. So I don't know much about this dude, but disappointed, I suppose, that we didn't get him because I know we need some help there. But the overarching theme is that Rodo still cooking, still getting ingredients, still trying to bolster this roster before this window closes and pushing us into this stretch run now. And now, with Leagues Cup as well. Moving on.
Well, and I know, right? He was with Slovakia at the Euros. So when I saw the picture of this guy, I was like, oh yeah, I remember watching him for a couple of those games. So again, looks like, Rodo was doing some work at the Euros because we did, right? We got our Svatak here. And to that end, we knew he wasn't going to play the pregame media availability on Monday. Coach Wolf said Alexander was not going to play last Friday, obviously, as we deduced from him not warming up for the entirety of that match, and then was not going to play on Tuesday night either, which, again, this somewhat contradicts he wants to come in and hit the ground running because he's in a good physical spot. So a little bit of a tease there for sure a couple weeks ago. But Svatak did get up off the bench last night and got loose with those subs, even though we knew he wasn't going to come in. So now that Austin FC has advanced, maybe we see him make a bench appearance in the round of 32. But that was really the biggest takeaway for me from the pregame media availability sessions, is that the Ukrainian center back not quite ready.
Yeah, we were definitely anticipating or expecting some potential time here for him in these Leagues Cup games that, let's be honest, that we did not think we were going to advance through. So now he has this opportunity, hopefully going forward, to get some reps with these guys, get any sort of that rust out, get acclimated with his new teammates and everything. And we've been looking for more time with all of these new guys coming in here. So beautiful.
All right, well, let's jump into the match last night. Really, no injuries to report. We speculated that we could have some rotation, and obviously you got to replace Bukhari in that starting 11. The two changes we do get, Hadar Obrian in there for Osman, and then Brad Stuver back in net. So again, salute Stephen Cleveland. Whatever you want to say about the first 80 minutes of his performance in that one on Friday, we got the 3 points largely on his back there in net. So the bench last night: Wolf, Cleveland, Fodre, Valencia, Kolmanich, Cascante, Jimenez, Finley, Svatak, Rubio, Vaisanen, and Bersano. So once again, outside of Bukhari, right, CJ sliding into that spot. Again, it's like, that's a real bench. Like, you get this expanded bench here in Leagues Cup play, but to be able to, again, put Obrian into the starting lineup, and you can't obviously roster Bukhari, and then CJ just slots in there seamlessly. Like, again, we've got a little bit of depth on this team now.
It's really nice to see, man. And like you said, with the expanded bench, there is room for much more guys here, but it's still good to see no injuries. We're healthy outside of that suspension for Bukhari, man. It was, I don't know, man. I'm just so, I'm still so amped about yesterday. But let's get into that lineup. I was expecting G to get a little rotation here. But I guess it's just been too difficult to take him off the field as of late because he's been fantastic. I mean, he doesn't get the goal last night or anything like that, but his hold-up play, his ability to drop passes off, and we need it. He's looked good. So I'm for it. Keep rolling. And who was the other one that jumped in there? Oh, Stuver. Yes, of course. Just so used to having him in the net. So,
right.
Good to see he's back. Hope he's 100%. Hopefully he didn't have anything that was too dire in regard to his illness there.
when you see another start at the wing for John Gallagher, which, we've been discussing, I don't think we've brought it up here on the pod, but maybe the worst news for a single player on this team in terms of potential playing time with the Bukhari and Dessler additions has been CJ, because you're not just getting Bukhari on the wing, you're at least getting the opportunity to bring John Gallagher up there. And in this small sample, since the new guys have arrived, it seems like we might see Gallagher start more on the wing. And then again, like we saw in the last two matches, then be moved back as we shift guys around, brings one or both of those fullbacks off. But again, we were driving up yesterday, right? And I said, remember back to when we waived or bought out rather, Emmy, right? We were saying this is the window until the new guys get here for CJ to kind of put, a lot of as much playing time on tape as the coaches would allot him. And so again, I don't think we should be surprised that, he's kind of fallen back on the depth chart as we have added these more experienced veteran wingers.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we were driving up last night, and you get the lineup and everything. You see Johnny on the wing, and we said we'd be surprised to see him get any starts at fullback if Dessler's healthy and ready to go, or at least very minimal compared to what we expect to see him starting at the wing
Right.
position. So we'll see how it goes, man. He looked fantastic last night.
Yeah, no question. Ends up with the man of the match, but let's get into that match here. And Rayados, not too dissimilar from what Pumas did, like a couple of their game in, game out starters on the bench, right? Jesus Corona was on the bench. Brandon Vasquez was on the bench. But I think, again, with Bertarame, I think he has kind of been in and out of that starting group. We see those guys next to each other for actually the majority of this match at the end of the day, because Sergio Canales starts. He comes out before half. I didn't know he had been dealing with an injury, missed the MLS Liga MX All-Star game matchup that he was, on the roster for. But we'll talk about that when we get there. 13th minute here is where we'll start. Monterrey, I think, first 10, 15 minutes, having most of the ball, but Austin has once again been compact and then taking the few chances to counter that they had early on. And I also thought Sergio Canales, his passing ability was on display, even though Monterrey was not able to really get any clear chances early on. And here in the 13th minute, you get a yellow card to Arteaga for stepping on Hader Obrian late on a challenge. But I do want to go back, just noting that yellow card, but to Canales. It's tough for us to have depth perception when the play is going on down there in the south end, which is where Rayados was going in that first half. There were multiple passes made in these first 15 minutes where we, from the north end angle, we're like, oh God, great pass.
Yeah.
On the replay, it was Canales like every single time.
Yeah, he was really just dropping dimes out there and putting those guys in good positions to have attempts. But I thought our defense right from the jump was super, super stout and disciplined. And like you saw these balls come in, we didn't panic, maintained our positioning, maintained our form, and it looked good to start, and even though they were threatening, like you said, nothing really going on net.
2 minutes later in the 15th, Monterrey off on a counter chance. And I thought Austin did well here to get back in transition and then get settled. And then Rojas, he ends up settling for a shot from about 20 yards out. And it is on frame, causes Stuver to dive, pause it over the bar and out for a corner, and then nothing doing for Monterrey on that corner. But again, it was one of many instances on the night where you start to clench because here goes Rayados off on the break, and we have historically been so poor in transition. But man, the team, again, they do have a couple chances, two that really stand out as where I think they could have done better and probably netted at least one goal last night. But overall, you give credit to Austin for limiting the chances, and you're going to see a big disparity in shot attempts. But like we've seen throughout long portions of this season in league play, this team can absorb a large number of shots. And if they're low probability, we're just going to live with that. And that was, again, this Rojas shot. It's on frame, but from 20 yards out, we'll take that.
Yeah, and it looked like he kind of hesitated a little bit because he didn't really want to shoot that to start, and I think that is a credit to our defense because we
Yeah.
were staying so compact and so in our shape and everything like that. So we'll live with those attempts for sure.
Very tough to break down for the majority of that game last
Mm.
night. 20th minute here, I think. The best passage of sustained possession to this point of the match for the good guys. The great combination play on the left here from Biru, Galley, and Obrian. And this was after Hader had made his way all the way from the right to the left with the ball at his feet. And we were kind of like, okay, what are we doing here? But right here, Galley gets it right back to Obrian after those three had played around there near that left sideline. Pretty skillful way to chest this ball down to himself. And then Hader puts a low cross in right to the feet of Seba, kind of at the spot. But his shot attempt gets deflected by his defender and it just bounces into the hands of the keeper. But again, first 20 minutes, Austin very compact on defense, not toothless in their attack. And this was really the first chance to put anything on frame.
Yeah, great possession control by Hader here. That was a very nice chest trap that he brought down.
It was.
And a solid block by their defense. Their defense, again, I thought was really good until we kind of break through here. And then you start to see some cracks in it and everything like that. But you noticed initially, like when we saw Bukari out there with Pumas and versus Charlotte, the type of gravity that was being shifted to the right side of the field. And it was actually going on the other side with Biru and Johnny last night. So we'll take that and like just another wrinkle that could be, into the fold here.
When you mentioned those two guys, right, Guilherme and Johnny, having those guys on the same side, I think we saw some of this last night where like that allows Biru to be more free in the attack and some overlaps or leading the break with the ball at his feet. And taking more chances, as we know over this first, 2/3 of the season, we know he likes to join that attack and be dangerous offensively. And with Johnny on his side, all-star fullback can cover for you there. Exactly. So like, again, maybe not all-star caliber this year, but more than serviceable. And again, it's kind of that like positional play that has been rumored that we like to, or that we want to model ourselves after. And like, having these guys that can play multiple positions and have a lot of different aspects of their game on both sides of the ball, love to see it. And Absolutely. You would think that the additions that will come, whether in this window or in the winter, will continue to kind of fit that mold where they can gel with the teammates around them in this system.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this relationship particularly develop between these two guys for sure. Johnny's still going to have that instinct, to be able to track back, understand when we're in a dangerous position and cover for Guilherme if he has to. But Guilherme, I thought, again, just always ready for the challenge, always ready to step his game up to be thrown into the fire and like do this thing. And I just love that and appreciate that about him a lot.
I think we're getting close to the point where, and we're not quite there yet, but I think we're getting close to the point where like half of the roster, like where we would get to a majority Rodo guys, and a couple more additions in this window, as tough as that can be with the full senior roster, that could be coming in the next couple weeks. 22nd minute here, Austin out on a counter, John Gallagher leading the way. He's got Zardes in front of him, Obi to his right, and Seba trailing. He gets it out to Obrian on the right, and the trio of teammates all drift towards the far post. And watching it live, I certainly did not see this deflection by the Monterrey defender because Hader tries to play it on the ground towards Driussi on that backside. And I think all of us in the north end were thinking, hey, lob that ball towards the back post because you've got Zardes back there and you've got Seba, who's great at finding a deflection or being in the right spot. And Johnny is another body back there as well. But on the replay from the broadcast angle, I do see what Hader was trying to do, and it does get deflected. That's why it looks so poor in the moment.
Yeah, it looked like that back post was super open, but I'm fine with him trying to get the ball into a dangerous spot there. And just the continuation of some positive things being generated here for our favorite team.
Yeah, and I will credit Driussi here as well because he did some pretty good work to get back in front of this ball after it was deflected and stymie any sort of fast break that may have been on there. He really slowed up the counter chance for Monterrey. So credit to him for that effort. Because again, we've been asking for more of that, the full 90 on both sides from him. And I thought he was great again last night.
Another fantastic shift from 10.
29th minute, Monterrey off on a counter. And you see a lot of these starting like teams on a counter. It was like you mentioned, right? Monterrey's defense was also fairly solid on the night. They limit us to just 5 shots. All of them ended up being on target for what that's worth. But off on a counter here after an Austin turnover in the Rayados defensive third, Danny sprints back and covers for Brendan Heinzike, who had to stretch out to match up with Canales on the near sideline to the broadcast camera. That ball is played in behind, and then Danny gets in front of that player to block the first shot in this sequence. Then he recovers to the deflected shot, which had fallen to the feet of another Rayados attacker. Danny blocks that shot, and then there's a third attempt that Matt Hedges gets under and heads it near Mikkel Dessler, who then clears it out. And again, the team defense was great in this moment and on the night, but Danny showing out individually on both sides of the ball for the full 90.
Dude, I don't know what has gotten into him, but we will absolutely take it. We got separated last night, but I was in Captain Morgan Club while you were trapped outside, having a conversation with our buddy Mason and his friend Danny. Coincidentally, Danny.
Okay.
she brought up that, you know, coming back from the Venezuelan national team seems to have been really great for Danny here. And like now he's engaged. He looks fantastic. You see later where he reprimands Hot Air, maybe a little too hard, but still like those leadership qualities and just individual brilliance from him yet again. And like, we love you, Pep. You're playing out of your mind. You get that out of him and some of this stuff that we're seeing from 10, and then you bring the infusion of this talent. It's man, I didn't think we'd be hitting the ground running like this.
I know.
And I know it's just such an incredible result. I mean, like all of us going in there anticipating a loss most likely, or just being like, hey, get a draw and we're in. Like, you know,
we advance with a draw.
We'll take a 0-0 draw for sure. So to see all this kind of coming together, man, it's been fast, and like the stark difference and change and the demeanor of this team is awesome to see, you know, and it's like fresh faces and everything coming in. It's just bolstered everyone around them. So man, it's fun.
Yeah, man, I think that is a great point by Danny about Danny. And also I think it's just like it's multifaceted, right? And why we have seen this uptick. And again, like we said, after Charlotte and after Pumas, that Charlotte match, even though we only got the 1 point, it felt much better than that. I think that there's also an aspect of, with these new guys coming in, we now have that competition at multiple positions that Coach Wolf was saying he was longing for, right? To be able to hold guys accountable, and having that competition within a team does elevate the level of play, because now everybody, you know, you have to go out there. You're looking over your shoulder because there is another guy that is capable and hungry, ready to come in. And if we get the contributions from these bench guys like we have in the last 2 matches, again, you feel much better, because when Leagues Cup ends, we go back to 10th place in the West, right? It is not good in terms of the league standings, but you feel a lot better about the tall task that's in front of you when the league resumes.
Totally agree.
So 32nd minute here, a long passage of possession for Monterrey, and Canales opens up for a shot from outside the box on the left. And Stuver right here, he spills this one and right to the feet of Bertarame. And he scuffs it, and the ball somehow stays in on that inline and is cleared out. Austin, extremely, extremely lucky right here.
Yeah, I mean, 9 times out of 10, that's a goal for sure. And
like 9.5 times out of 10.
Yeah, for sure. And it would have shifted the entire dynamic of this game going down one like that. How are we going to respond? Are we going to try to push out, or, you know, be content with just, you know, this 1-0 scoreline at halftime, trying to find one in the second half, because we knew a draw would be fine here. So this was a huge mistake by him, like just an error, a poor play, and we'll absolutely take that.
100%. And off that clearance right now, Rayados got the ball back, and they are passing it around their back line. And then there's a turnover here. Obrian steps in front of a pass. So it's a 4-on-4 break. Obi to Giassi, back to Seba, and then he gets it out to Gallagher. And Gallagher's got a window to have a shot here. He's also got Driussi and Obrian kind of trailing the play near the top of the penalty box. Gallagher tries that shot towards the near post. It's punched out for a corner kick, and Seba upset. He wants that service back to his feet. And I think he certainly does have a point there.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen worse shots and worse decisions, though, so I ultimately had no issue with that. And again, you like to see Austin being opportunistic and being able to at least get a shot off on this break, because again, we have seen worse fast breaks here in transition from Austin this season.
Absolutely. I would have been happy with a one-time from Johnny here, just to like not give that keeper a little like that extra second or so to get position. But yeah, in retrospect, he could have played it to the center, but as he gets more reps, he's got to get more comfortable back at this wing position. So I think this stuff will come.
So 43rd minute here, this is where we see Brandon Vasquez subbed on for Sergio Canales. And again, I did not know till I watched this morning that I thought that he was involved in that collision with Obrian and then with Danny that led to the late water break there in the first half as the trainers came on the field to attend to the Monterrey player. I thought that was Canales because he got subbed out. It was not him down. It appeared that, again, with that injury lingering for him from before this match, that they, I guess, said, like, you don't have it, or we're just going to go a different direction. And it definitely did not hurt that he got taken off the pitch, hurt Austin's chances. But again, you're replacing him with Vasquez, who was probably the best striker in MLS for about a calendar year before he was sold on to Monterrey last season. But yeah, Canales out of there in the first half. A very similar timing to when we saw Huerta come on for Pumas on Friday. Oh
yeah, that's a very good point. And Vasquez is obviously, that's just a nice thing to be able to bring him off the bench there. But I think, I have a very small sample size with Canales, but right. I'm assuming, and from what I saw last night, Vasquez a bit more of an aggressive shooter, scorer. Canales, he's distributor. Huge. Yeah, he is a massive striker. So like I think Canales was a bit more of a maestro. Like
he's their number 10. Like yeah.
So,
and I think they lost some significant ability to command that midfield.
I agree.
When he went off. Stoppage time here. I think there was 3 or 4 minutes. Rayados closes out the half with a trio of corner kicks and a dangerous shot that did force Stuver to get down to his right and make a save, and that went out for the third corner in that sequence. But Austin ends up escaping the first half with the 0-0 scoreline, and now you're starting to think you're 45 minutes away from getting out of here with the draw that you need to advance. And again, we were saying all week, or not week, last couple of days, it's like you get to the penalty shootout, you have a chance to win the group, so we will absolutely take that. Felt pretty good at the half, man.
Felt damn good. And a good showing. It wasn't like we do have one very fortunate play where Bartolome misses the goal entirely. Like, that was very fortunate for us. But other than that, a solid half, a good performance, because we knew what type of team this was coming in, and their fans showed out. I've never seen that fan section be that packed. They're chanting. They got the flags going and everything. It was awesome, and I thought they were good. They were great fans. I thought so.
Dude, I want to give the Rayados fans that were there all the props in the world, because like you mentioned, I've never seen that away section so full.
Yeah.
There's like 15 flags up there, maybe more. They were rowdy. There was a lot of white and blue striped jerseys around the stadium. You could just look in any section and see, at least 30% Rayados fans there, maybe even more, of course, exempting the south end there.
They showed
up. It was another really cool environment.
Leagues Cup.
We helped a fan at halftime who didn't have a card, only had cash. Gave us some cash. We used the card to get him a beer, and I will give us credit, a little minuscule amount of credit, because we were cordial to our enemy there at halftime, and it paid off for our favorite team.
Absolutely, it took a video or 3,000 pictures of us. While we were lined up there with him.
That guy did want a picture with us.
Yeah.
And, hopefully enjoyed the rest of the game as much as he could. We did get a change out of the half. Julio Cascante comes in for Matt Hedges. And something I did not think about in the moment, but I think is maybe not appropriate, but I want to acknowledge right now, with how strongly I think we both feel that one of the center backs from this team will be moved by the end of the transfer window. That could very well be Matt Hedges' last shift in an Austin FC uniform.
Mhm.
So if it is, again, no matter how low the probability is, salute to him, man. Lately, I think he has been great for this team.
Absolutely. All these guys have been stepping up.
Yeah. 49th minute here. Great sequence from Austin out of the break. Brendan Heinzike breaks a line with a great ball to Driussi, and Seba then finds Alex Ring near the top of the box, and Ring one touches the ball through to Giassi Zardes, whose first touch betrays him, and the keeper gets to this ball. But that was, again, another moment where like Austin just can't quite put together that last action, but it was great to see. And going up through the middle, which is exactly what Rayados did not want us to do, right? They want us to push out to those wings. So from Brendan Heinzike to everybody else involved in that play, I thought that was well done, even though they didn't end up getting a shot.
I agree. And I thought that we were patient in possession as well and really picking and choosing our spots. And this is a good example of us really exemplifying that and getting a good attempt and then missing the last part of it. But still, it was good to see right out of the half there.
Yeah, man. And the possession that we did have, right? Because it wasn't much.
Yeah.
52nd minute here. And maybe Danny's only mistake on the night. He's got teammates to both sides of him here, wide open at the back. Instead, tries to dribble around Brandon Vasquez, and credit to Vasquez, times this perfectly and just takes it right off of him. Maybe had a little bit of time to try to deke around. I think it was Heinzike that had come back to try to step in front of him. He fires a shot from about 18 yards out, rises up into section 123 and out for a goal kick. But again, it's a little nervy moment, turnover at the back. But if that is that is really the only thing I could find to nitpick Danny about in otherwise what was as close to a perfect game, I think, as he's had.
I totally agree. And a situation where you got to give some credit to Vasquez. This is a very deft type of play where he just steps in, anticipates, because we see Danny kind of juke around guys all the time in that similar kind of like start-stop fashion where he speeds up. But Vasquez is able to get to that ball. A good defensive play. And, I do agree that he had a little more time to get this shot off, but hey, man, we'll take it. He hasn't had much success here at the Q.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Continues his streak of missing, and we'll get to one in a little bit that he absolutely should have scored. But 56th minute here. I just wanted to credit I thought this was a fantastic ball put in front of us in the north end from distance on the right. Drops right in between Heinzike and Cascante to the head of Vasquez. But he's like, in this instance, like 10 to 12 yards out and just not enough power to get past Stuver, and he just gets right under it and cradles it. But that ball was freaking sweet, man.
They were fun, man. They were a good team. It was fun to watch them.
Absolutely. 60th minute. Austin on the attack here. Driussi gets some space on the left edge of the penalty area, and he pops off a Rabona cross. It's just like, we got a quota to fill. Right towards the feet of Giassi Zardes, but outstretched, can't quite get a touch in front of net. And in the notes here, I think the first 15 minutes, Austin, the more threatening team overall in the second half to start.
Yes, I agree. It was great to see them come out of half like that, man.
On the very next Austin possession here in the 61st minute, Seba, slick back heel in the defensive half to spring John Gallagher out on this break down the left side. And Johnny progresses the ball at his feet all the way down to the left side of the Rayados penalty area. He whips across in towards that back post that just like a minute before, outstretched Zardes can't quite get there. But Hader Obreon this time waiting on the backside to tap this in for the lead. We're up 1-0. What?
Yeah. What? First of all, this back heel by Seba, man. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it. That was absolutely filthy. So and for it to have enough pace where it's like Johnny can
drop
get
right
onto it and go, absolutely incredible. Watching it back, I'm watching the Rayados guys here, and this would have been a situation where if this was an Austin team, then we were reviewing this on the pod after the watch and everything. We would have been pissed at this last defender who kind of just loses hot air. There's two defenders to the left of him, so he's relatively covered, even though this ball does potentially get very close to him, give him an opportunity. But this last guy on their defense fell asleep. I don't know his name, but we'll take it, man. And our buddy Aaron is back. His family wasn't there, so we're slapping hands with him. Like, great to have him back. Alex, his family, we're going crazy. Uncle Dave,
Damon's back.
Damon was back. We had the whole band back together, minus Fudge and everything. And man, this was the first time I feel like I turned to you to like give you a high five, and you just didn't really know what to do. Like, because usually you're waiting for me and I come through, bang. And then I look at it, I was like, oh shit, he's not really paying attention. He doesn't know what's going on.
I think I had surrender Cobra, right? You got your two hands in your head when something bad happens. I was doing that when we just scored. What is going on? I can't believe this.
Surprise Cobra.
Yeah. 63rd minute. So right after the goal, you get a double change for Rayados. Corona and Aguirre come in for Rojas and Guzman. So I believe the man they call Tecasito in there. Corona, very, very good player who we talked about on the last episode. And he certainly provided some dangerous moments down the stretch here. 67th minute. A couple guys come together. Cortizo shoves Danny, and then Hader Obrian comes in defending his boy, shoves him back. Both guys get deserved yellows here, but Danny, and then to a lesser extent, Mikkel Dessler trying to calm Hader down. I wrote in here, Danny pointing to his head after that, but I think what you were getting at earlier is the immediate slap to the face that Danny, couple slaps, just a little love slaps to Hader, like, hey man, we can't, we're good. And I think, again, this goes back to the last game where you see on the replay, on the broadcast, that Danny, after the red card, turns around to everybody and says, dale, dale con huevos, and makes the, the Marco Bellinelli motion there. Just another example of elevated leadership and mental clarity and toughness from Danny, because it's not just keep your head hotter, we don't need you to get a yellow, but it's like, I got him. I got him. He's going to get a yellow for this, right? So don't escalate it yourself. But again, both deserved yellows, but it's just more and more out of Danny, man. He is just turning into, over this little sample size, again, you got to stay at this level for a sustained period, but he's been great. And we're not done talking about him.
That's a fact. We're definitely not done talking about him. I love to see it, and sometimes you got to check a guy like that because, again, we're in control right now. Like we are in the driver's seat. Last thing we need is another dude picking up some sort of red. Let's give credit to this ref for not being an absolute nincompoop like the other guy that we had.
Officials were much better.
Way better. Let's also give credit to Rayados for not being little pee-pee babies and falling down all the time and getting into it. And one of their fans got into it with me when they had one guy go down, and I was like, "Oh, get him up." And then we had a guy go down. He's like, "Well, say it about that guy." And I was like, "All right, then, good point."
Yeah, fair.
I was like, all right.
68th minute, you get Owen Wolf in for Giassi Zardes. And by this point after the goal, we're in this back five. So you've got Guilherme Biru now kind of as your left center back, Dessler still right wing back, and now Johnny has slid back to left wing back. 70th minute, Corona gets past Danny on the right and puts in a ball to a wide open Brandon Vasquez, 6 yards from net. And he puts it wide, man. He should have absolutely scored that. I think maybe not 9.5 times out of 10 like the Bertarame chance earlier, but 7 or 8 times out of 10. This one is buried because I would not have faulted Brad Stuver for not getting anywhere close to this one because Vasquez had his pick of either side of a pretty open net and puts it wide left. So lucky again. But again, this game, it is a game of luck. In a game of moments, and Rayados just did not take theirs last night, and we will take that.
Absolutely. It's fickle, and you miss opportunities like this, and you end up getting blanked by a team that, is not nearly as good as you. So, we'll take those type of situations, and I don't know, man. He just doesn't like it here. I don't know.
73rd minute, double change here for Austin. Johann Sebastian Baklava, the Punisher, and Leo Väisänen in for Obrian and Dessler. So we move Biru from that left center back out to left wing back, Gallagher over to that right side. You've got our 3 true center backs on that back line, and then the Punisher in front of them. So you've got the full bunker in effect here. You also get Maxi Meza in for them. So we've got, World Cup Argentinian coming onto the pitch. So he came in for Cortizo. 79th minute. Austin turns Rayados over on what I thought was some good John Gallagher defense here. Seba runs down the loose ball, and he finds Owen Wolf charging through the middle. But this is 2-on-7 with just Danny with him. And Owen turns on a dime as 3 Rayados defenders converge on him, pivoting away, drawing some oohs and ahs from the crowd, and getting a serious rise out of the broadcasting team. Then Owen reorients himself forward and lets off just a beauty of a through ball to Danny in behind. Monterrey backline gives up, relying all of them holding their hands up, relying on the offside flag. Danny approaches the keeper, slots it home. Everybody goes crazy. Immediately look to the linesman. Flag is up. But then lengthy review. And the longer that this review went on, you just got the feeling he's onside. We pull up the replay in the stands. He's onside. By a mile is probably strong, but like it was very easy to tell from the replay that he was onside. So goal counts. 2-0. Party is on. Danny's first goal at Q2 Stadium. Man, great to see. Congrats to him.
Absolutely. Love you, Pep. Like well-deserved too, for the way that he's been playing, the dirty work that he has to do, everything that he does for us defensively, and for him to get on the score sheet here in a home game versus that type of club, just incredible. Like, let's go back to the Owen move. I don't even know if I have enough superlatives to talk about this move. He embarrasses like 4 guys, just flat out cooks all of them. The timing on this ball is fantastic. Danny's composure, I thought, was really great. Just kind of nonchalant like approaches this, and he's like, you make the decision first, keeper, and then I will go ahead and put this past you. Does that. Now we're really freaking partying, going nuts here, man. And look, we're not better than that team, but the better team won last night, in my opinion. Again, just like the Pumas game. So this is something that we can absolutely feel great about in the moment right now and everything, but continue to build on. So I couldn't be more proud of these dudes, man.
If you don't feel great about last night, I
feel bad
we can't
for
help
you,
you. We can't help you.
I feel really bad for you.
Well, dude, in the Owen, like that whole play, I see whether they're Rayados fans or neutrals or maybe even some Austin FC fans being like, oh, the defenders weren't really trying there. It's like, okay, buddy. Okay. Even if these guys are going like 80%, 2-on-7. Yeah. Like you got fucking done up there. But look, you got Tommy Scoops tweeting about Owen. It's a great move.
Incredible move. The ability to bring him on for like G in that situation, which we have, it looks so much better. You know what I mean? It just looks great. I'm glad that the coaching staff didn't listen to people who were losing their minds based on results when we went to this 5-back in prior games and it hasn't worked out. First game comes to mind is LAFC, where they get the Kai Kamara header in the waning moments of that game. But here it is again, and it has worked, and like it's fine. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you have that rotation in the back there now, and you can actually get Guilherme and Johnny on the same side, like with Dessler. Like that's a dynamic kind of back 5 with 2 wing backs who can really get up and go, and then you can get those 3 center backs shifted in there once we want to get those subs. So credit to the coaching staff again, and say what you will about the style and everything, the tactics and everything. We were ready to play these guys, and like, did they throw us a bit of a bone with their starting lineups? Potentially. I don't really, we don't know everything that went on with their camp, how guys were feeling, some injuries, like you mentioned with Canales and everything like that. Or if they took us, too lightly to coming into this game, but we were ready and we were prepared for these games after an absolutely embarrassing showing in last year's Leagues Cup. So huge credit to the staff for that.
Yeah. And a couple tangents here, right? Talking about the fullback room, right? You've also got Jean Kolmanich, who, like, again, we're not mistaking him for an MLS All-Star, but last time we saw him, he was putting in potentially the game-winning assist to Diego Rubio against Charlotte, right? Yeah. Like, so he has been playing well in his limited time of late. And yeah, man, credit to all those guys. Not a single person had us beating Monterrey, no matter who they put out there. Even you see that starting lineup, there was still nobody saying we were going, including myself.
For sure.
Right? Like, I thought we were still going 3-1, and I thought I was being maybe a little generous to us. But I'm glad that these guys were able to bottle up all of the doubt that we have all piled onto them coming into this group stage and proving us all wrong. And we got 2 more notes to get through here, but it does, again, we talked about it on Sunday. It felt on Sunday like the winds may be shifting for the long-term outlook of Austin, right? Finally seeing some tangible results of these new guys entering the group. I definitely have not come off that take after last night.
Like I said earlier in the episode here, like the shift has been so dramatic, I feel like, and also like just with where we were at and like how low we were in some of these games, like leaving Dallas with that taste in our mouth and everything. And like, do you see the phrase start to happen? Like we were talking about, has coach lost the locker room? You know what I mean? Like our guy's completely out on him now. And to see this shift and change in such a short period of time is stellar. And I don't have a really great answer for it outside of, I think those guys understood the mission as well. Get to this point, we can get some new guys in here and get a bit of a revitalization. And like, we didn't even have Bukari last night. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah. Get to add him back in for the round of 32. 86th minute, you get Diego Rubio in for Seba. 88th minute, long ball into Brandon Vasquez. He heads it down right into the path of Maxi Meza, who takes a rip off the half volley. Stuver paws it over the bar, out for a corner. And then that corner, I thought, taken well, headed on frame near that, or right at that near post, rather than Stuver gets another touch to it over the bar. Just to be safe, I think that one was going out, but Stu wanted to make sure that second corner ended up being cleared out. And then 8 minutes of stoppage here to end this one. 4th minute of stoppage. I thought throughout the end of this match, after we got the second goal, Austin did very well to kill off the game. They killed off these 8 minutes kind of with ease here. And in the 4th minute, Danny nutmegs Aguirre, and more oohs and ahs from the crowd. And seeing a lot of those Rayados jerseys leaving early.
I was making sure they got all their goodbye waves. That's for sure. I was making sure. The spice levels went up. Spice levels went up for sure.
25% possession for Austin at the end of the night. 21 shots to 5 in favor of Monterrey, but just 6 on target to 5 on target for Monterrey. So 100% on target there for Austin. That's not bad. And converting both of their big chances into goals, where you see 2 big chances on FOTMOB created by Rayados, obviously both missed. And I think that is probably the ones we pointed out, probably Bertarame and Vasquez.
Yes, absolutely.
11 corners to 1 for Monterrey. The only Austin corner was off that John Gallagher shot down there in the north end. Opta 1.4 XG for Austin, 1.83 for Monterrey, which feels about right to me with those 2 chances that they had in the number of shots, right? You can rack up a decent amount of XG with those low probability chances if you've got 20 plus shots. But Austin blocked 7 of those 21 Monterrey shots and forced 13 of the 21 to come from outside the box. So again, the collective effort defensively, and credit to the coaching staff setting these guys up for success in that manner. Austin FC wins West Group 1 of the League's Cup.
Yeah, like we all thought. I wanted to say this earlier on, but I remember talking to you at the start of this game, and I was like, it's particularly with the balls that Canales was delivering and like them getting touches in the red zone, our danger zone and everything like that. But you saw a shift and we started to push them further and further out. And as those shots started to come in, Stuber was handling them with ease, in my opinion. He knocks a couple over the top, which I think elevated their corner kick, quota there. So like, I'm not going to put too much credit into that, but man, what an absolute win. I mean, this is the best team we've ever beaten, right? Like this is.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to look at the LAFC roster that we played in 2022 and say that they are not better on paper than Monterrey.
Yeah. But Bale wasn't.
But this Monterrey roster. So I heard that we talked about the transfer market values and the disparity between the 2 rosters coming into this one. Mm-hmm. I heard, and I forget who it was, so I apologize for not being able to give adequate credit here. But that the Monterrey roster is the most. It might have been H that said this. Monterrey's roster is the most expensive in CONCACAF. So on paper, then yes, it is right up there. And I'm not going to argue with you if you say it's the best team we've ever beaten. And again, I don't care who they pulled off early or didn't start or what have you. Like that team is still, again, there's a reason why nobody predicted us to win that game.
Yeah, they brought an Argentinian national player off the fucking bench. Like, what are we talking about here? This team was absolutely loaded. I am so happy for these guys, man, because like, you know, it's all great to be like, oh, it's always darkest like right before the dawn, and then you have to shift and everything like that. But like to actually get through those dark times and like that hard stretch that we went through where we really were dropping points, and you saw us shift down from 3rd place now into 10th in the West, and things were really starting. We were taking on a lot of water, you know, and the dramatic shift has been incredible. And the way that guys have almost seemed to have matured up overnight and accepted some leadership stuff like you're seeing out of Danny with this and with the armband change as well. Seba's attitude has been fantastic. Alex coming in, big chip on his shoulder all the time. You're getting stuff out of G. It's exciting times, man.
I believe in the last 4 matches for Danny now, a goal and 3 assists.
Yeah.
And that's just, again, it's got to be the best stretch of counting stats for Danny since he's been here. Again, it's only his 3rd goal, right? And I don't think he's ever generated more than 5 assists in a season. So he's hot right now. Jesse Zardes is hot right now. Alex Ring, even though I did no goal contribution last night, but still he's hot right now. Driussi's been better, a little bit more of that flair, that magic, right, that we count on out of him. So one more time just for our boy. God, watching that video, man, I miss Maxi and Diego, man.
Yeah, I miss them
Those
too.
vibes were so great.
They had a good time.
Yeah. Here's a stat. Austin just went about 135 minutes of 11-man football against Pumas and Monterrey and did not give up a goal.
Whew.
Yeah. And when we're down for over an hour, down to 10 men, 2-2 against Pumas. So, man, just can't say enough good things about this group stage, the performance from these guys. And now we're looking ahead. Now we don't care about Monterrey and Pumas on Saturday, but we do care about Vancouver and Tijuana, because last night Vancouver up 2-0 on LAFC for the majority of that match in West Group 7. Of course, winning the group, we will face the 2nd place team out of that group. So for a moment, it looked like Vancouver was going to really, I think, just straight up push LAFC into that 2nd place spot. End up going to pens in that game, and then Vancouver gets the win. So they've got LAFC on 4 points, Vancouver on 2, Tijuana on 0 in the final match of that group stage in West Group 7. Again, that is on Saturday night as well. That's at BC Place, Tijuana, visiting Vancouver Whitecaps. So the scenarios we've got here, first of all, and I can pull this up if I can find it. Walking out of Q2 Stadium last night, my thought was, and I think most people's thought was, we're hosting. We'll see everybody back here in about a week for the round of 32. That is not how Leagues Cup works, unfortunately for us. Trying to pull up our tiers list here. This is the group's tier structure of Leagues Cup. Austin is in tier 3, and this list takes all 45 clubs, or rather 47 clubs, but you've got the bye to the Liga MX champion, you've got the bye to the MLS champion, so 45 teams in these tiers. And it's based off your standing from the previous league season. So, of course, Austin, 39 points last year in MLS. That has us ranked 35th in these tiers, which puts you square in tier 3. So no matter who you match up with, or you win your group, your second, what have you, if MLS teams play against each other, the higher tiered team will host. So that means that if Vancouver wins in regulation, they would be on 5 points. LAFC would be on 4. Tijuana would be on 0. Austin FC, despite winning the group, would go to BMO Field and play against LAFC. If there is a regulation draw and Vancouver wins the PK shootout, that would put them on 4 points. First tiebreaker, as we discussed on Sunday's episode, is head-to-head. Vancouver won the penalty shootout against LAFC. We would go to LAFC. If there is a draw and Tijuana wins the PK shootout, Austin would go to Vancouver. LAFC, of course, 4 points. Vancouver would then have 3 to Tijuana's 2. And this is what we are all cheering for. If Tijuana wins in regulation, they will come to Austin next week. And reading Phil Westverde all day, he hinted that so the window for round of 32 matches is August 7th through 9th. Without looking at my calendar, I believe is next Wednesday to Friday. He hinted that our game would be on Wednesday on the 7th. So Saturday night, unless you want to go play LAFC or Vancouver, which I really don't, just because we see those guys. And on our way to our first Leagues Cup trophy, why don't we just run the Liga MX table? Bring us Tijuana, bring us Emmanuel Reynoso.
just leave FC Juarez out of there, or the thorn in our side.
and Mazatlan. We don't need to see those guys.
No, the powerhouse is there. That's interesting, man. Look, man, obviously what we're rooting for here. I'd love to have another game at the Q. Get that rocking. So let's go Tijuana.
Yeah, absolutely. So that match on Saturday certainly will be tuned in there. A couple quotes from the press conference that, again, you can go watch that in full. Coach talking about John Gallagher, he said, well, first he said, of the win, right? And I guess kind of the group stage win, we're not going to get carried away. We don't get too bummed out and deterred as well. It goes the other way. But these are two big ones, and we want to continue to move forward. The guys, you see the spirit, you can see what they're doing, and it is a solid performance from a number of guys. And then he expanded on John Gallagher, again, was named man of the match on the broadcast and in the stadium. He said, this is what we know Johnny has been since he's been with us. He's been a forward for us. He's been a winger. He's been a fullback. Last year, we moved around in a different structure. He was a wing back at times. So he's a grinder. He's a worker. At the end of the day, he takes on everything. He only wants to please us. He's a pleaser. He will do anything and everything for the club and for his teammates. It's just another example of the type of character and personality that the group has, and John has been influential in many ways. So again, praise needs to be heaped all around this team, especially John for that effort last night. And again, his ability to continue to adapt. And clearly, since he's gotten these opportunities at wing of late, he's been chomping at the bit to get up there and join the attack, because we know that the reins have really been tightened on him this season to be more of a true defender and not joining the attack as much as we know he would like to.
So happy for him. And again, to persevere through all of this and the difficult and challenging times that he's had this season, and, complaints, many from me in regard to his play this year. I know that he was limited and just doing what the coaches were trying to tell him to, or were instructing him to do. He's undersized for that position back there. So that puts him at a disadvantage already and everything like that. So to see him keep progressing, like you said, keep adapting, that is fantastic. And I'm just really excited to see him get more reps here, get a better connection with Guilherme, and really get this thing rolling. Now you're crossing over to, then you get to cross over to Bukhari. Come on.
He's got Dessler with him on that side. Grabbing a quote here from Phil Westverde all day. Go subscribe to Phil's Substack if you haven't yet. Talking to John Gallagher, John said, obviously we shifted to a back five, and that kind of suits me. It feels pretty good because I'm a good two-way player defensively and offensively. And then talking about the opponents, he said, Monterrey, they have some big boys. We dug deep, and it's great. It's great for morale. So obviously, as you would expect, locker room feeling good. And the group stage job is done. But now we turn our attention to the knockout round. So we don't have, obviously, an opponent to preview here, but we will by Sunday's episode. So no matter who we play, I'm just excited to be advancing in a cup competition. And, man, off the top of my head, what's our record in cup competitions now? It's got to be at least 500 or maybe a little bit over. I guess depending on if you include MLS Cup, right? The one playoff run that we went to, which I would consider not external, but it is a cup competition. So Open Cup, right? We are 1-2. Now in Leagues Cup, we're 2-2, and 2-1 in MLS Cup play. So right, 500, right? Or one game over?
One game over.
Either way,
No.
this performance in the group stage, huge for the club. Like John said, the morale in the locker room. And again, hopefully it's just a jumping off point, no matter what happens in the knockout stages, that you should be able to look back on this week when things get tough, when the league starts up again, and grab some energy from what you did, some confidence from what you did this week against these very talented opponents. Because now, and I know a lot of fans have been saying, I knew these guys had something like this in them all along. And I think that's totally fair, but now they know, right? They've put it out there on paper. They've put it on film. And if I wasn't a believer before in making the playoffs, I am now, baby. Let's do this.
I never lost hope, never lost sight, for sure. I didn't expect this type of turnaround and to be feeling as good as I feel right now about our, our chances at making the playoffs and everything like that. But we're going to have to hit the ground running once league play starts coming back up. We went over the schedule a little bit. You have some very difficult teams that you're going to have to play, some top of the Western Conference clubs that you're going to have to get through, and like you said, you can look to these two games and be like, okay, we can go do this thing. We can get this job done. So everything is fantastic right now in the Austin FC universe.
Anything else for you on this game before we move on?
No, sir.
All right. Real quick, let's just check in on
the best keeper in the world.
Called it taking on Frankfurt in the friendly last night. Third string goalkeeper gets the start. So no real update. I just wanted to hear Maxi's voice again. But we'll, keep our eyes on Louisville City. They're back in action this weekend in the league.
Yep. Bummer.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
The highest competition that this team sees this year, and Damian can't get any minutes.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
We need Rodo and his team to put in a call over there.
Hey.
Last business day, this Friday, North Texas SC coming to the pitch to take on Austin FC2. Of course, Austin FC2 coming off the prestigious victory in the MLS Next Pro Invitational, raising that trophy in the MVP. He took home some hardware as well. Nothing much has changed with North Texas, our rivals to the north. Of course, this is FC Dallas's Next Pro affiliate. They were in second in the West last time we met. I believe we took the lead in that game up there at Choctaw Stadium before falling in penalties, if I recall correctly. But North Texas was in second coming into that game. They are now in first, 3 points clear of St. Louis City 2 out west. So this is a monumental, might be a strong term, but first place against, we are in 12th. And again, we are, oh my God, we have a couple games in hand on some of these teams, but we are now 11 points back of that playoff line as some of these other teams, played over the weekend while we were playing Cancun. But yeah, tall task ahead of us here. And not just for the rivalry, again, for our playoff hopes, you got to defend home turf with the number of games in this season waning. And again, this North Texas side, a number of first-team players that we can look out for. First of all, they are led by a pair of goal scorers. Both Enes Salih and Tarek Scott lead North Texas SC with 7 goals scored. But then they've got 4 supplemental guys from the first team that play more often than not with this team. Herbert Indley has 10 games with North Texas this year. Of course, again, a supplemental guy with the first team. Ahmet Korka has 11. Tomas Pondeka has 11. Isaiah Parker, double-digit appearances. He's a Generation Adidas pick for them that is, nestled there in their supplemental roster for the first team. So, again, really, I think Indley, the only guy that I've seen get any sort of significant minutes with FC Dallas this year. But there's no doubt that, again, they've got more guys from their supplemental roster down with their second team than we do. But unless you've got anything to add on them. Talking about us, I expect to see CJ out here with another start. Of course, Jimmy, and we'll see if maybe Sebas Pinot shows back up, but I feel pretty good having Micah Burton in there with those two wingers right now because those guys have been generating a little bit more out there together.
They definitely have been gelling, and it could just be a little too little too late. The hole they've dug right now is pretty steep, and you're going to have to get three points here. I mean, we've pulled the must-win lever on this team several times now. Yeah. I'm trying to – Abarca?
Yeah, Diego.
He where's he getting minutes? He's a 9, right?
He's midfielder.
Midfielder. Okay.
Yeah.
It was escaping me where he was playing, but yes, I like Jimmy up front. I love seeing CJ. CJ's confidence seems to be really high right now, and like it stinks because he looks too good for Next Pro.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he looks way too good for Next Pro, and then you boost him up and you jump him up into the MLS ranks, and it's like we talked about now it's really difficult for him to find time. So I hope that he just keeps killing it down there and like really making a name for himself even more, and hopefully just keep building that trajectory and going forward with it. And I think he'll get his chance again at some point this season for the big boys. I do. I think he's going to find some time here.
Well, I think 2 small points here. Number one, I think the better form we've seen out of the FCito attack is due in large part to CJ getting more minutes down there because he raises, again, he's a rising tide for that roster. And then, like, if it, again, as we expect, and I think I want it to be difficult for CJ to find first team minutes because that means to me that the wingers ahead of him on the depth chart are performing and staying healthy. And I think that is the best chance for us to make the playoffs. But if he is then, relegated to a majority of his minutes the rest of 2024 with Austin FC 2, then it's a great opportunity for him to, again, gain some more of that leadership experience that we've already seen him put on display with this team this year when he's been down. And I think that also gives us the best chance to advance or to clinch a playoff spot potentially and go on a little run here is if number 19 is down there and killing it as he typically does when he's down there at this level. So I welcome that. And again, I hope he is too, because we know that work he's been putting in has been paying off. And whether it's showing with a couple minutes with the first team or, again, dominating at the next pro level, again, I think it probably benefits him a little bit more to be that dominating presence down there at the next pro level instead of, again, just getting a couple minutes here or there at the first team level. I want to see the first team CJ minutes, of course, but this is just, again, the benefit of having that second team and being so close in proximity too. It's nice to not have a team that is in Waco or something like that. So anything else for you here on FCito? If not, how much are they winning by here against our rivals to the north on Friday?
Shit, man, it's hard not to predict some sort of a fantastic result after everything that's going on so far. So I'll run with it. Okay. Like, let's let it go. I'll say I looked at their goal differential, everything like that. They are tied for the least amount of goals allowed in the Western Conference. So, like you mentioned, you sung their praises. A lot of good players on this team. But go ahead and give me a 3-1. 3-1 off.
Okay. Nice. I'm very similar. I have the 2-1 there. I think we get multiple goals on the board here at home with those boys. And again, getting healthy behind those starters that we talked about. We've got both Garcias in the mix, right? You mentioned Abarca, and it seems like most of the rest of this roster is healthy and ready to go. So we need another big performance out of that back line. And I don't think I have a preference on Alstrup or Cervantes. I think they've both had highs and lows throughout the season, even recently for both of them. So I will trust Coach Utley. I almost called him Coach Butley. I'll trust Coach on whoever gets the nod there in that.
Oh, well said.
All right, no nonsense to close out this episode. So anything else for you before we shut it down here on this victorious episode 164?
Victory song.
All right, we will close it out with a second victory song. We appreciate everybody tuning in sticking with us here on episode 164. We will be back on Sunday previewing Austin FC's round of 32 matchup against either LAFC, Vancouver, or Tijuana. Let's hope it's the latter, and we're at home next week. We will recap Austin FC 2's matchup against North Texas SC, and of course talking about everything else that happens in the Austin FC universe between now and then. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. You know we'll do the same. We'll see you back here on Sunday for another edition of the North End Podcast. Until then, easy. And I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Victory song.
Welcome to the North End where the passion's running high. We're here to talk football, Austin FC, all pride. ZG and E will take you on this ride. Week by week, side by side. It's section 1, 2, 3, we're the rowdiest in town. The Pirates game and Uncle Dave and Big Fudge all around. We sing our songs, we chant as one. Through thick and thin, the match day's just begun. In the North End, we stand together. Through every game, through any weather. From the first whistle to the final blow, the North End will never let go. Under the lights of Q2, our home, our sacred ground. In green and black, we fight, our voices loud and proud. Trio sees magic, Bacardi speed, Stuva saving grace. With every goal we score, the lights turn verde, it's our place. Rodo's the mastermind, building our dream, and moves everything around.